I want you to join us. It's going to be very, very colorful. Are you free? Welcome in to the Bro 4 Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer and talking movies. This is episode 244, and I am your host, the mayor, Jeff Hornacek. We thank you so much for joining us for the movie discussion tonight. It's going to be a good one. Before we get into it, though, let's go around and meet my fellow bros. We start with our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli. Now, Ronnie, for a lot of people, the school year is wrapping up. And I know that this is fact, but I just want to confirm it with you. The last day of school works basically the same way that the purge does, right? You cannot be charged criminally or in any civil court for any actions you commit as a student until the bell rings, right?
Yeah, it was actually inspiration for the film The Purge. The Purge didn't inspire the last day of school. The last day of school inspired. Someone was like, hey, what if all crime was legal? It already is on the last day of school. And I committed some really heinous things on those holidays.
Yeah, I don't know what the statute of limitations is, but I guess it doesn't matter because you're free to do them anyway.
I honestly feel bad for teachers on the last week. Like, how can you rein it in? You can't.
Do they even give a fuck?
They don't. Apparently, though, like high schools at this point are starting to just say, like, "Hey, listen, man, you guys don't even have to come. Like, we're just setting ourselves."
Never made sense for seniors who are taking like AP tests or exams and or finals, and then you had your graduation, had a week of nothing. Like, why am I here?
It's the equivalent of like when you give your 2 weeks notice as a job and you show up. It's like kind of dangerous. Like this guy doesn't give a fuck. What's he gonna do? Like he's wild in the break room already. Nothing holding him accountable. But take that with hormonal teenagers and have a whole different Molotov cocktail behavior. Next, we go to the mad scientist, Brian Banner. All right, Banner, I might have asked you a variation of this before, but if we were to turn the Bro 4 Squad into or put us onto a reality show, which of these do you think would produce the most entertaining television? Big Brother, Survivor, or The Real World?
So, Bro 4 Squad staff in one of those settings.
Yeah, and we'll say also wives as well.
Ooh. If I were a fly on the wall entertainment purposes, I think Big Brother would be fun.
I think so too.
I think just what would be hilarious for all of us would be Survivor, because we're like split 50-50 of people who are like camping outdoorsy people and people that are like, yeah, I'm good. Balmy 70 degrees is good. So that would be a fun aspect to put us out there living on the land.
I noticed you didn't say Biggest Loser for Geiger.
For Geiger, yeah. I mean, it would just be the rest of us cheering him on, basically. Or his team. I think the way that shit works, his team would have a huge advantage because he weighs 800 pounds. So
yeah,
he has the most weight to lose, right? Everyone else is at a big disadvantage because we're like, well, we're at healthy weight. He's a fucking beluga. It's not fair. I do think if we played Big Brother, when Cycli came on screen, for the confessionals, they always have usually a descriptor of the person at the bottom of the screen. For Cycli, it would say, Ronnie Cycli, in 6 different alliances already.
Yeah.
And betrayed all of them.
Like nothing's even happened. Why'd you betray us? Guys, this is my final 2 right here.
I told everyone else this was the real one. I didn't mean it. This is the real one.
You thought I meant it with them?
No, come on.
Absolutely absurd. All right, here on the Bro 4 Squad podcast, we start every episode off with the most important thing in any bro's life, and that is chest day. But you know what? Fuck chest day. I said it. Mainly just because we want to talk about what we watched tonight. So we're going to go into our protein shake. We do this a lot. Chest day is I think optional for us. We do a lot of cardio here on the pod.
It's more of a guideline.
It's like a suggestion.
I just go to the sauna.
Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. We've got a lot of complaints about your comments made to other people in there.
It's a place to go and talk to people about what they're wearing and not wearing.
That's true. And also to do things like push-ups.
And grunt really loudly.
Yeah, Nate Thurman said there's a guy at his gym that does his fucking workout in the sauna. And they're like, bro. Yeah.
My gym has signs posted like you're not allowed to do that.
It's like in How I Met Your Mother when it says no boogie boarding ever at their bar. It's like, well, something happened that this had to be posted.
The amount of
Some dope.
times I pause my headphones and start just like eavesdropping on the most random conversations between friends.
Oh, you
I've like
told me
called
about
you
an
about it after.
insane conversation.
I'm always
Yeah,
like, what are these people? These people live a different life than I do.
and they
I am in a
share weight.
bubble.
It's a favorite
They-
pastime of mine.
Yeah, they're like, oh, this guy's listening to music. We can say whatever. I'm like, oh, please
Yeah,
do.
let's just give out our bank account information. All right, on our protein shake, we go around and talk about what's in our cup, also known as what have we watched lately. Cycling, let's start with you. What have you seen recently? What is in your cup?
I've kind of really been a bachelor this week, so I've watched like 5 things, but they're all kind of well, two like 3 are related and 2 are related. So I'll start with the first batch, and I texted you earlier about this, Jeff. I had never seen the Ocean movies, the Ocean 11, 12, and 13 movies. For some reason, I don't know how it happened. I mean,
But
we
you've seen
were
8?
no. I guess I didn't count
Okay.
that. I apologize. I guess
That would be a
I
banner thing to do, is to see 8
Just
but not
watch
seen the
8.
other ones.
But
That
real
would
quick,
be good.
Ocean's 11 is our most viewed movie commentary. I think it has like 600,000 views. Go check that
So
one out.
wow, so I need to go watch that with the movie. I don't know how I mean, considering this was the 2001, I think like this is when we were going to the movies literally every week in middle school. I mean, like because there was nothing
Yeah.
else to do. And so I don't know how I missed this. Like it was one of those movies, you know how everyone hasn't like, oh, I haven't seen Harry Potter, oh, I haven't seen Lord of the Rings. Like this was kind of it for me. Like I had never seen the Ocean movies, and
Well,
I was
now
like,
that you mention it, I think it took me a while. Like, I don't think I saw them in theaters. I think it took me a few years to like actually go through all of them.
yeah,
For
I mean,
whatever
like
reason.
I don't. Yeah, it's a good question because first thing I'll say is, and Banner, I'm assuming you've seen them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you love them or do you like them?
Yeah, they're good. They're fine.
Yeah, they're very much, I think, a product of the era. I don't think I like them as much as most people do, but I think it's because I watched it, literally today and yesterday in 2025 versus like this is such a product of the aughts and the cast and the technology and like the kind of funness of the heist that I feel like yeah, if I had watched it in that era, I would have appreciated this film a lot more. It comes off much more gimmicky, and I couldn't tell if the film wanted to be taken seriously or not.
Especially the second one, I feel like.
Especially
The second one is
one.
the second one's hands down the worst one.
Well, and I agree with that. I do appreciate that, like, unlike, let's say, the Hangover trilogy, that the second one did something different. I'm not saying it worked, but I was like, are we going to get like 3 of the same movie? And the second one, at least, was just kind of like.
The third, like 13 and 11, I feel like are pretty similar. Like
They
a
are. They're
revenge
very
heist.
similar. Yeah. Versus like 12, like, I agree, it's not the best one, but like, I was like, hey, they're doing something different. It wasn't really a heist. It was a reverse heist. I didn't like the carpet pull from you that like they were in on something that the audience didn't know and the antagonist didn't know.
The Linus twist is kind of
Yeah.
Damon.
And I'm pro meta. I love meta humor. I love when the fourth wall gets broken down. But the Julia Roberts playing Julia Roberts for half a scene is really takes you out of it, because while in theory you kind of like laugh at the absurdity and being like, okay, so we're in a universe where these celebrities exist and Bruce Willis exists, Topher Grace exists, and Julia Roberts exists, but yet for some reason there's nobody being like, hey, that guy also looks like George Clooney and Matt Damon. But do those celebrities not exist in this world? I don't know. It was just kind of like,
yeah, right.
It really
Where do we draw
breaks
the line?
down. Yeah, like you're like, hey, everyone else oddly looks like a celebrity here. No one's gonna mention that. So it was entertaining. It gave me something to do. They are fun. They had good soundtracks. The chemistry of like Brad Pitt is Brad Pitt and George Clooney is George Clooney in these films. Like I don't think they stretch themselves by any means. And the one thing I will complain about Ocean's 11 is it felt, obviously the heists are elaborate and, let's be honest, ridiculous, like not possible, like the things they pull off. And Ocean's 11 is a little more honed in, but it was almost too clean. Like nothing actually goes wrong during the heist. It's
Right.
very like the only thing that we think goes wrong is that the audience just wasn't aware that they had a plan to be the SWAT team and come in and do all of that. It felt too like I was waiting for something to go wrong and they had to like abort and adapt,
You
and
just
that didn't happen. and scramble,
Especially
and it
because
didn't
Andy
happen.
Garcia knows they're going to do the heist. Like,
Yes.
he's prepared for it.
Yeah. So that was my one complaint. I was like waiting for like the moment of stress, and it never happened. Everything kind of worked out great. So, and again, that felt very early 2000s though. Like very was like we're the bad guys, but it's fun and it's cool and it's like, so yeah, I enjoyed the movies. I don't think they're anything to write home about. I wouldn't mark them at like my favorite heist movies. They were fun. I think I would feel differently if this was 20 years ago. We'd love to hear how you guys have seen it. You guys did the commentary on it. Maybe eventually I'll watch Ocean's 8 too, but love to get your guys' thoughts.
So real quick, Ocean's 8 is Sandra Bullock as Danny Ocean's sister.
Okay. Yeah.
And there is some tangential relations to like a few characters pop in and out. Two things real quick that are just like fun to look up from Ocean's 11. Number one, look up the Don Cheadle drama with the movie.
Oh, the accent?
The accent, and he was told when he signed on, I don't know who else had signed on, but that he would be first billed in the cast.
Oh, damn.
And there was a huge like issue with his like compensation and everything. So I think now if you go watch the credits, the way his name is presented, it says like and featuring or and starring Don Cheadle, like separate from everyone else. But yeah, the accent.
I need to go back and look at it.
Steven Soderbergh was like fought him on the accent. He was like, "Can
it's
you not
so
do that?"
bad.
Like, yeah, he insisted on doing it.
Watching him like Don Cheadle, like this is a terrible accent. I looked it up and it turned out to be a big thing. I was like, who thought this was a like? Was it supposed to be funny? Was it a gag? Like that's what I meant about these movies. I didn't know if it was supposed to be. Okay.
Yeah, it was really weird. And then also being Bernie Mac's, I think the 13 might be his last movie.
That's crazy.
I can't remember.
They didn't give him enough to do.
Oh, totally agree. Him as like the dealer is so hilarious.
Yeah.
I love Scott Conn and Casey Affleck's dynamic.
They were good. That. I like them a lot. Yeah.
Banner, what do you think of the Ocean's movies? Actually, kind of already said.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're fine. I agree. I think that if you've seen them when they first came out, and I don't want to say they're relatable, but you know, like the flip phones and how they use, like you said, the technology and stuff. That's just unfortunately so outdated now that it's like it really sticks out like a sore thumb. I thought I think 12, while again, like you said, I agree. It was nice that they tried something different. It just didn't really work. And I think 13
take them out of Vegas. Like
I was gonna say, that was the biggest thing. If you had that same movie, even just kept it like within the United States, maybe, and it ended in Vegas or something like that, it would have been a lot better.
But I do kind of get.
And
like
I think 13 did enough to redeem itself.
Yeah,
as a franchise.
I remembered kind of liking Vincent Cassel's character, like the rival thief, but there was just so much else about it that I was like, this just doesn't feel like an Ocean's movie. And then
he starts off really good as an antagonist, and like it derails in the like latter third. Like he turns into like a goofy, like I don't know, the whole thing gets weird.
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch it. It's been a while. I haven't seen it more than maybe twice because I don't like it. So it wasn't a movie I like going back. All right, Banner, what's in your cup? What have you seen lately?
I'm gonna go with a Netflix series that we just finished, The Four Seasons.
Hey, I finished that.
Yeah, you seen that?
Did you talk about this last week?
I did, yeah, but I didn't say too much because it was so. Banner, please elaborate on it because it was so fresh. When I talked about it, like I literally didn't say much except general feelings because I was like, it just came out.
Yeah, we just finished it last night or a couple nights ago. So this is about four couples, just as a recap, four couples that basically every quarter, each season, they go on some sort of trip together, right? And
4 times a year, damn.
They're like weekend getaways, right, Cycly?
Yeah, they like live not too far from each other.
Yeah. And you kind of get to know each one of these relationships. It's a dramedy. I thought that it was a really good balance of comedy and drama. There was some twists and turns I wasn't expecting, and I was very pleasantly surprised by it. it kind of makes you think, about life and your relationships and stuff, but not so much that like you get in your own head about it. You're just kind of like, that is interesting. And each couple, I think, at least for me, was relatable in a different way.
Yeah, I agree. I think also I don't know how long it took you guys to watch, but it's super bingeable. It's such an easy
quick
pill to swallow.
Yeah, they're like maybe 30-minute episodes. There's 8 of them. Really easy to watch because basically each season is 2 episodes.
Yeah, and they run right into each other. It's
right back to back. Boom, boom. I liked it. How do you feel about them leaving it open for another season?
Funny you asked that. It just got renewed.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
My wife told me how it ended, and I was like, I don't know, that's a plot thread, I guess. But like,
it is an interesting way it ends, and maybe
Yeah.
it's still fresh enough to not spoil that. But it is a little bit of a trope ending, I think. Like,
Yeah.
you
saw it coming a mile away.
Yeah, it's
at least I did.
No, I think it's. I don't think anything outside of the one big twist. But yeah, I don't know like where they take it. If they, like they're, I don't want to spoil too much, but like it'll be interesting enough. And as long as like I what I said last week was it didn't do anything amazing. It didn't do anything bad. It was fun to watch. Like I'll probably forget about it in a year. And when the second one comes out, I'll be like, oh yeah, that was super easy to watch. And as long as they keep up that 25-minute like episode formula or 30-minute episode formula and make it easy to swallow, then I'll watch it again. It was harmless. It's a great cast. Love Tina Fey, Will Forte. Like, I mean, take that all day. Yeah.
Literally took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, and the acting in this was awesome. Everybody had excellent chemistry with the people they needed to have chemistry with, and were super awkward with the people they were supposed to be super awkward with.
It felt real.
It did. It felt very, very real. So yeah, I recommend giving it a poke, and then I
Speaking of that, I have a quick question about Steve Carell. So his career is interesting. He's done, I think at this point, if you looked at his full body of work, he's probably done as much dramatic acting as he has comedic, or like it's close. So this is his, like, which does his character lean more towards? I feel like he's less interested in comedy these days as being a dramatic actor.
It seems like a lot of what he does is
middle.
Yeah, I think it's the dramedy is he's really doing is that mix where, because Banner, do you agree with this? I said this, like, I don't think anything about Four Seasons was ha ha funny. It was relatable funny,
situational
and that's
humor.
what I think, situational humor, and you're laughing internally. I think that's what Steve Carell really has gotten. That's what he's doing now, is that kind of like, again, he's acting performance based.
Yeah, the days of playing like Rick Tamlin and Michael Scott are over for him.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's the difference.
Yeah, there were a couple of good one-liners that I like giggled at and was like, that was funny, but it was not like I'm laughing my ass off, line after line, scene after scene.
Yeah.
You're like you said, laughing internally because it's very relatable, and that situation is just a funny situation to be in.
Yeah, it's about friends who have been friends since college for like known each other way too long, know every like thing about you, positive, negative, can tell you your shit without you getting in like being offended. It's that kind of friendship. So it's like, and like I said, I think at the worst, if you watch it, you'll be like, meh. I don't think anyone would watch it and be like, that was awful TV. At its worst, it's just like, oh, it gave me something to watch for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever.
I'm interested. And
I think it's better than a meh.
My wife gave me a
worst
soft
case.
recommend. Yeah.
Okay.
And Brian, our boy, Coleman Domingo, the voice of Norman Osborn, is in it.
Fantastic. Might be my favorite character in the whole show, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of TV, Banner, I don't know if you've seen this. I just finished Daredevil, not just, but like a couple weeks ago, Daredevil Born Again, season 1.
Oh, I gotta get on it.
Have you even started it?
No. We've been busy lately.
Yeah, I hear you.
End of school, you know how that goes.
For sure. So this show has an interesting, obviously I'm the big Marvel head. The first 2 seasons of Daredevil, I think, were like, they should have been Emmy nominated. They were so fucking good. Season 3 took me a long time to watch for some reason. Like I don't know if it lost momentum because of there was, but I also think that was around the time that we started to realize that the Netflix Marvel shows were not connected to the MCU, and the creative teams at Disney were compartmentalized. And it didn't make me necessarily less interested, but I feel like it a little bit less important in the grand scheme of things. Now, Daredevil Born Again, of course, is Disney saying we're going to take the same dark tones and this criminal underworld of the MCU, grounded, street level heroes, and we're going to put it now in the MCU. And I was very interested in this. The production history to this, if you guys don't know, is pretty crazy. They filmed almost half of the show. Kevin Feige, Charlie Cox, and D'Onofrio said this isn't working. It's just flat out not good. They replaced both of the showrunners, replaced half the cast because they had recast them, said it was going to be like new ancillary characters. And then they said, we are going to rewrite this to where it connects to the Netflix series. And now that is canon. So it's kind of like a wild post-production. You can tell a little bit the first 2 episodes that they had to chop a lot of it up, but I think it all worked out for the best. And the product here, if you liked the Daredevil Netflix show, you're going to really like this. It's really dark. It's really grounded. And really, like, it's a heavy, like, political thriller. It almost feels like The Winter Soldier in that sense. And Marvel hasn't really gone back to that well since that. So it's kind of cool to see them dip their toe in it.
Do they keep the gore from the Netflix ones? Or do they tone it down a little bit?
No, there is a kill that Kingpin has that is like one of the most fucking brutal things I've ever seen.
Okay,
the way he kills a guy, it's just like, Jesus Christ. And then Charlie Cox is great. We get a few like ancillary characters, like Miss Marvel's dad is in an episode.
Oh, nice.
Of it, yeah, and references his daughter. And then there's of course like a bunch of references to the MCU, but nothing that like distracts or weighs the show down. It's just like fun little teases, and it sets up for a season 2 that it's almost already done filming, and it's going to be really interesting, like going to be really, really fun. Probably it'll be bigger in terms of scale than season 1, which hopefully doesn't hurt the show because it has me excited. So I would highly recommend this to Marvel fans. And I don't want to be, I'm usually the consummate positive Marvel guy, but I got to say this. I liked Deadpool and Wolverine a lot. I know it was kind of polarizing because it was a little bit gimmicky. It relied a lot on, that Deadpool deadpan humor and a lot of cameos. Thunderbolts, I think, is the best Marvel movie since Endgame by far, and Marvel's most serious movie ever. Like this, I told Psycho this was like an A24 script that they threw a couple Marvel characters into. Like, it deals heavily with mental health and trauma and things like that. Like, that's the script, and I see why Florence Pugh was so excited to do it. And then Daredevil Born Again, definitely not on that level, but I feel like Marvel has had at least 3 consecutive projects that have come out. Well, I guess Captain America: Brave New World in the middle, which was fine, but they've had 3 out of 4 that are above average, which for them is much needed, I feel like, after the last couple of years.
They've been at a deep valley right now, so nice to see them climbing out of the hole.
Yeah, and if Brave New World is their worst thing in the last 2.5 years, that they're in much better shape.
That's not terrible.
Right. So I would recommend to fans of the Daredevil show. If you haven't seen it, though, you might want to watch like a catch-up YouTube video, because it is going to kind of drop you in like the middle of the story of these characters. And knowing their backstory is very important to caring, I would say. I don't know when season 2 is coming out, but they greenlit it before this was released, so I'm hoping next year.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah.
When you get greenlit before you're released.
Absolutely. Cycly, what else you got?
So I have nothing to do with my wife out of town on work, and I saw like an Instagram reel where there was like a clip of Timothée Chalamet talking in medieval times to Robert Pattinson, and I was like, What's this movie? How have I not heard of this movie? Like, when were Robert Pattinson and Timothée Chalamet in a medieval movie?
How does that fly under my radar?
Well, yeah, and I was really confused. So I went to the comments, and everyone's like, it's a movie called The King that was put on Netflix in 2019. And I was like, okay, well, I have nothing to do.
Okay, so hang on. Before you continue, let me try and like reset my frame of mind here. In 2019, what was Chalamet and Pattinson up to? Pattinson would have just gotten the Batman, right?
Pattinson, like, I think this was before I had my like oh shit, Pattinson is an amazing actor moment where I started watching Good
Had
Time,
had Tenet come
Lighthouse.
out?
Oh man, let me go to his
No,
filmography.
Tenet came out in 2020, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
So I
Okay.
didn't get into this until he was announced by Batman. So Lighthouse is 2019 as well. So this was around the same time as The King. And let's see, everything before this, it's like Twilight and other movies I hadn't really watched. Good Time came out before this, but that was like an underground film that I only
Right.
watched later. So then you look at like Robert Pattinson after the movie, and that's where it's like banger after banger. So it's like, yeah, I think that's why it flew under my radar. I don't Timothy Chalamet, right? He had that role in Interstellar, where he was the the brother.
Had Little Women come out yet with him?
I
Don't Look
don't
Up, maybe?
think
Would he have kind
so
of a
because
smaller
that's
role
the
in?
same time. Little Women was the same year as Midsummer.
Wow, Florence Pugh had both of those in the same
Yeah,
year.
and she got nominated for Little Women and not Midsummer, which
Hmm.
was a joke. But A24 doesn't really get nominated.
Right. Had Don't
But
Look Up come out yet? That Netflix movie about
I think
climate
that was
change where
post
he's like
COVID.
Yeah, I think that was. Yeah, that was definitely
people
post-COVID.
at home are like, fucking look this up.
No,
Guys,
No,
look,
that's not the fun
if
part.
you're new to the show, we don't do that.
why would
Why
Sorry.
we
would
do
I?
that? This is about
Yeah.
hanging out at the bar and talking. So it made sense once I was like, oh man, like I guess in 2019 I didn't know who the like Robert Pattinson was still just Twilight to me.
Talk about like a great buy low for the movie, like casting
Yeah,
wise.
and so the movie is about Timothy Chalamet plays. I mean, eventually, obviously, becomes King Henry the Fifth. So it's kind of semi-historical, but it's technically based on William Shakespeare's plays about King Henry. Now it's not like written like a Shakespearean. It's not like that Romeo and Juliet movie where they talk like they're in Shakespeare. It's written in
Yeah.
typical, maybe ye old English. Um,
Does
and
it have to do a British accent, I'm guessing, and is it grating?
it's fine. The funnier part is Robert Pattinson is French in the movie, and he does a very like flamboyant French accent. So it's kind of that
Which
one
is funny
kind of like
because he is British in real life, and then Timothy Chalamet
yeah,
is.
it was very like the clip I saw, especially like Robert Pattinson has like this high pitched like French accent, and he's very like um you know very French, right? Like very rude and obtuse and but the plot of basically is Timothy Chalamet's character, who is Prince Hal, is very estranged from his dad, hates his father, does not want to be the king. He's just like in London getting drunk. And as his dad is dying, his dad doesn't like him either. He like tells him, "I know you're my oldest son, but I don't want you to be king." But essentially, so the younger brother is going to be king, but the younger brother dies in battle. So like, it's about like Prince Henry becoming the one of the most famous kings in British history. And he obviously is famous for the big war in France, Hundred Years' War, and like uniting England. And he's obviously a young king, and he gets manipulated, and he doesn't know he's being manipulated, all sorts of stuff. But I was just like, whoa, this is like, again, it was kind of fun to like discover this film now, being like, oh, I like these actors a lot. And then seeing Timothy Chalamet, well before Dune, knowing like I didn't know he had those acting chops in him in Dune, like the ability to like be like this forceful leader. And then I was like, oh, if I had seen King, I think I could have seen it a little earlier and maybe would have um, trusted the casting of Dune. So I would recommend it. It wasn't anything like, you know, Oscar worthy. It wasn't anything like one of the best historical dramas I've ever seen, but like it had a decent runtime. I think it was like just under 2 hours. I might be wrong, but just for the sheer performance and kind of like if you like a period piece, if you're interested in like, Anglo-Saxon history, King Henry, really set a standard in terms of the British Crown history. So I don't know. It was fun watching. I won't remember too much of it long term, but I'd recommend it.
So this says it's 2 hours 20 minutes, which kind of turns me off.
Wow.
But
It didn't
Netflix
feel
needs to
like that.
market their shit better because this movie also has Joel Edgerton, Ben Mendelsohn, and
Yes.
Lily Rose Depp.
Now, I will say a lot of them don't have big roles. It's very like not it's Lily Rose especially. It's not big performances on screen. Um, but that's 22 hours, 20 minutes. That actually is that's a positive for the
That's a
movie because
compliment,
it
though.
is a compliment. It did not feel like it. And the movie actually, like I looked it up, like some of the battles are very accurate to the historical nature of what actually happened and kind of what made him known as like a very important uh battle, like plan general. Compared to like why the British were struggling in the wars against France and why when King Henry became king and how he changed it. But yeah, 2 hours and 20 minutes. Okay, longer than I thought.
It's got a badass poster.
Yeah,
So
it
I
does
don't
have
know
a good
if you've seen
poster.
it. It's like Chalamet in like this armor, and he's like fucking like just got done with killing someone. You can tell because
Doesn't
I
that
know
feel
that
like a
look.
movie we all would have heard of though? Like,
Yeah. Again,
I'm
Netflix. What the
so
fuck are you doing?
confused.
And I've had Netflix like this entire
This whole
time.
I was just
time.
about to say it's not like I haven't had it.
Yeah.
Right. All right, The King, 2019. Nice. Banner. What else you got? Let's each do one more.
All right. I don't think I've talked about this. Mufasa. Have I talked about this?
I
Maybe.
think I might have mentioned it, but I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Is the actual
Meh.
title Mufasa: The Lion King?
Yeah, sorry.
Mufasa, and then
Sorry.
spoilers.
I don't want
Say it again.
I don't want people to get confused. Yes.
Yeah.
Mufasa: The Lion King. Wasn't a fan of the music.
Mhm.
The pacing wasn't horrible. The white lions looked really badass. Still isn't live action and meh.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out, Disney.
It was.
I have heard from Cycly, slight spoilers for Mufasa. Skip ahead 30 seconds if you don't want it spoiled. But I've heard that it really not only retcons the story of him and Scar, but makes you look at Mufasa now like, dude, you're an asshole.
1,000%.
It also dilutes the fucking Pride Rock tradition. It always like you think when you're watching the original Lion King, you're watching this thousands of kings, and when Mufasa tells Simba like your ancestors, like it's like this is like all of that is just wiped away.
Yeah, none of it fucking matters.
He basically lied to everyone, or he just like really created all these traditions and then acted like that was how things always were supposed to be.
Yeah.
It's hard to
Banner,
respect
to
a guy
your
like
point about the live action, I will say compared to the quote unquote live action Lion King from a few years ago, that one felt so soulless. Like there was almost no emotion on the CGI'd animals. This one was better. Like
Yeah, I'll agree with
I'm
that.
not saying it's good. It
Yeah.
was as a like one of the few compliments I'll give the film. Like it was, they did a much better adjustment of like feeling like the animals were real.
Yeah, I will give you that. I mean, it's still not live action, but I agree they did have more soul. I think it was also it helped that this is a fresh story. While I don't necessarily like it, similar to what we were talking about with Ocean's 12, they kind of, I don't want to say swung for the fences, but they definitely took a weird turn and tried something different. It didn't fit, but they tried, and I'll give them credit for that.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to see. I just haven't heard any good things about this.
It doesn't, like, I watched it again because I didn't have anything else to do, and I was like, sure. It doesn't offer anything. Like your Banner's right. It does try to do something different, but what it offers doesn't really give you insight to watch it, because to me, what it offers dilutes one of the greatest Disney movies ever.
Right.
So
everything that you gain from this
Yeah.
takes something away from the original Lion King,
Exactly.
if not more. So
And it's
you're
just like,
net negative by having this.
how does Disney insult one of its greatest films, right? Like that's the struggle about, like, and the end, like, again, spoilers, 30 seconds, like Mufasa, like Scar saving Mufasa's life and Mufasa forgiving him, but then like having the naming him Scar to, like, it just felt so, aren't we supposed to be Disney teaching like children about like forgiveness? And that's such an act of like vengeance by Mufasa, who's supposed to
So
be this like
vindictive, yeah.
great king. And it just like, it always, the first one makes it feel like Scar is just like necessarily evil. Like he did bad things in this movie, but like Mufasa tries with Scar. Whereas the now when you have the Mufasa film, it's like Mufasa really kind of forces Scar to be who he is.
Yeah, this is like his villain origin story.
Literally forces him to be
Mufasa's like
Scar.
the quarterback with the Letterman jacket and Scar is like the science nerd who like gets shoved in the locker and Mufasa has all his friends laugh at him. You're like, I'm rooting for that guy?
Yeah. It's time to bring back in the defense of villains for Scar now.
Well, I think we already did one
We
for
already
him.
I know.
But now we
one,
need to
and
do
this,
it's the retrial. We've never done a retrial, have we?
This opens up a lot more doors for
Because
him.
now there's new evidence, so we can do a retrial, right? That's how
well,
it
and
works.
not only this, but now he has somebody that is the villain, right?
Mm.
This is like, don't you have to have an ulterior theory? There's your ulterior theory.
There it is.
Look at that. I just lawyered you.
Why are you lowering me? I'm agreeing with you.
You're lawyered. Deal with it.
Lawyered.
But we're on the same team.
Doesn't matter. Friendly fire. That's not how any of this works.
I was like, I don't know what they said. But did you feel that way, Banner, though? Like about the ending? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Again, like I said, like anything that this movie may have gained and been like, oh, okay, that's a cool idea. But then you sit back for a second, you're like, but that completely negates 3 things from the original.
The only compliment the only thing I think I said this when I was talking to Jeff was Rafiki. The only one that like respected from the original was Rafiki.
Yeah.
I thought he's the OG. He's been around and seen it all.
The other thing that I will just say, and I'll leave it out there, is that Lion Guard is the Lion King show that was on Disney Channel or Disney Junior or whatever for a long. I think there's like 5 or 6 seasons of it.
Jesus.
That is also
it
canon, and they referenced it. Wasn't big. If you didn't know, you wouldn't know.
Is that like between this and the OG Lion King?
No,
they're, like,
Lion Guard is
teenagers?
after the OG Lion King.
Hmm.
So this is, I guess this is probably actually after Lion Guard too, if I remember correct. But anyway, fun little fact.
Is that on Disney Plus?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you'll get there in I give it 8 to 12 months.
Okay. I might watch it just for me before my daughter sees it.
It's not terrible. It's not. There are
Banner's
definitely
like,
worse things out there.
You get away with it like I'm screening it for my child. Like, no, you just fucking like it. That's okay.
Yeah. This is a safe place.
all
Like
right,
eating Halloween candy just to make sure.
And testing it.
Might be poison.
And when do I get to eat it if you're testing it by consuming the whole thing?
Just the love of a parent.
Saving your life. You're welcome. All right, last thing I got. I don't know if you ever heard of this movie. Murder by Death from 1976. Ever heard of this?
Murder by Death. No, I don't think so.
All right,
It's gonna
this
be
is going to
Death
blow
by
your mind.
Interesting title.
I heard about this from a podcast I watched because this movie inspired Clue.
What?
Really?
Yeah. So Murder by Death is a comedy whodunit. Say that again? Oh, in.
Sorry,
Okay,
I was saying I'm in.
I thought you were saying like in. Do I need to
no,
something?
no, I am.
And yeah, and I can't remember when exactly Clue came out, but it was. This basically gave Parker Brothers the confidence to say this IP that we have that we've been trying to, because Clue was a play before it was a movie. They were like, we can pull this off. It will work. And the plot to Murder by Death is essentially like what Clue is. Like these 8 strangers are invited out to a mansion and they're told by someone's getting killed tonight. And it's up to you guys to figure out who it is. Now, Murder by Death, Clue does everything better than Murder by Death does. Like in every single way. It's funnier. It's way more clever. The performances are better. The script is much, much better. But Murder by Death does have some pretty funny moments. And the cast of Murder by Death is insane. I'm going to read some names to you. So the legendary Peter Falk, the legendary Peter Sellers, Dame Maggie Smith, James Cromwell, who, of course, we know from Babe and then the
Wow.
Jurassic movies. And lest we forget, as the butler, Obi-Wan Kenobi himself, Alec Guinness.
Alec
What?
Dang.
Yeah. So
Wait,
I
what
think
year
you
was
guys,
this?
1976.
Oh, so right before.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think you guys would get now some of the gags, like, look, it is very dated. Like Peter Sellers plays a Chinese man in the movie, and literally the only gag they have is let's be racist. That's how he's written. Like there's nothing clever about him. It's a white man, and you can imagine how the makeup is meant to make
Hold
up, but
on.
it's like that.
Is this? I wonder. Okay, so when I was in 8th grade, I was in a play called The Butler Did It.
Mm-hmm.
And do we remember our friend Josh with the last
Yes,
name
oh
that was
yeah.
a fancive band from the time where we're on?
Yeah.
He played. Now that you look back, you're like, how do we get away with this? Played an Asian
Oh my
man
God,
who
I vaguely
spoke
remember
like,
this. Yeah. And
yeah,
no one even batted an eye at that time.
no, and I was like the detective. That was where I got my first kiss. There was the
Hell yeah.
maid who was my first girlfriend. Um, does it like I don't know if that does any is there a detective, is there a maid?
There is a detective. There is a no. There's a butler, but
No.
no,
Okay.
there's not a maid. But it's weird
Okay.
because Maggie Smith, who my whole life she's been 90 years old, dude, she's hot in this.
She's hot in Harry Potter. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know, but she's like young girl hot.
No,
In it. She's like Helen Mirren's always been hot, but like was Helen Mirren ever 15 to 19 years old? I don't think anyone's
it's
ever
like weird
seen
to
her.
imagine.
Right.
How did you watch this?
I went to my local library
Okay.
to
Excellent.
watch it because it wasn't streaming anywhere, but it's very, very short. I think it's like an hour and 10 minutes.
I bet my
sorry,
library has
an hour 34 minutes, but a lot of credits. And just to see Alec Guinness in a role where he's just being so fucking goofy, it's like it's kind of jarring at first. You're like, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi, but then you just have a lot of fun with it because he sounds exactly like his accent's the same. It's like he's not doing a different voice or anything. But I want you guys to watch it because I want to know, like, some of the tropes really work, like some of the gags, and then other ones I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is bad. But Clue is a
I'm
much
seeing
superior
pictures of
film
the
in every way.
Chinese guy. It's like woof.
It's bad. Yeah, it's really bad. And again, the only joke with him is that like they just make fun of Chinese people the whole time. But Peter Falk is the detective in it, and he's really, really good. He's pretty funny. James Cromwell plays the like chauffeur of one of the characters. I can't remember who. And I'd never seen him young in anything either. So
I was gonna say he's been 90 years old forever also.
right. Babe was like in 1996 and he was 84 years old in that. And then Jurassic World Dominion came out, 7 years ago, and he was 86 in that. So he'd only aged 2 years and 20 something years. But in this, he's like a young teenager with a full head of hair.
No, I don't believe you.
So Murder by Death, check it out. Especially, actually, and now look at Truman Capote's in the movie as well. He actually plays the person who invites them to the house, so he has a pretty important role.
He
yeah,
was
the cast,
the writer.
Yeah,
that's wow.
The cast is just fucking stupid. Like you look at it, you're like, how the hell?
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, Murder by Death. So watch it and then compare it to Clue because it's meant to be like Clue basically like took the template that it had and was like, all right, we can make this actually work.
Clue said, "Here, hold my beer."
Exactly. All right, before we let the people go, we end with our last segment.
Is that an old woman?
I don't know. So do you even lift bruh segment where we ask a question that we leave the people with. Today we continue the Bros top 100 movies of all time lists. Brian Banner is going to give us the next one on his list before we end the episode. But before we do that, Cycling, why don't you tell the people, as always, what are these lists? Because they're not the AFI or IMDb top 100 lists of all time for greatest pieces of film. They're a little bit different.
They're about our favorite movies, and it can be what you think are the greatest movies of all time, and it can be what, for some reason, you just happen to like on a given rainy day of a movie that you watched and cheered you up. It can be a movie that you watched as a teenager that made you fall in love with a certain genre. It's really entirely up to you. It's about all the films you've watched. It's about revisiting and rethinking about your love of movies and how you kind of have created the what's the word I'm looking for? Basically created like the passion you have in movies and what you're looking forward to. So, everyone has a little different, and you're about to get probably the weirdest answer right now out of Banner, because his top 100 we cannot claim responsibility for at all.
We cannot, although his last one was pretty rock solid. His number 32 movie of all time is where he left us off with The Dark Knight. My number 32 was John Wick. Thurman was, Happy Gilmore. Slightly yours was Pulp Fiction. Banner, what will be your number 31 of all time, which will join Get Out, which both Cycli and Thurman had at 31, which is crazy.
That is insane.
And then Dumb and Dumber, which I had at my number 31. What's your number 31 film of all time?
This one might be the best made film, or the best recognized film that I've ever had on my list, and that's Jaws. Guys, it's a shark movie.
It's a great movie. Yeah.
Fantastic. It's iconic in so many ways. What can you say about it? It was on Cycli's top 100, I believe, in the 70s somewhere. He had never seen it till I suggested it to him. The suspense that this creates, the tension that you feel between all of the characters. The shark is so menacing because you don't see it, right? It's just this.
Yeah, it's the fear of the unknown, basically.
Exactly. I love this movie. Obviously, I'm a big shark guy. I like this so much more than Deep Blue Sea, and I love Deep Blue Sea. Love Deep Blue Sea. I will watch Deep Blue Sea before I watch this, probably. But this is just holds a special place.
This walked so Deep Blue Sea could run.
I think you were going to say swim.
I don't understand. Why would I say that?
This is such an iconic film. I mean, the
poster's iconic. The sound, the score.
Maybe the most iconic score of all time, at least in the top 3.
Have you guys read the story about the score when John Williams, right?
Yep.
Yeah, said it's 2 notes, and they thought he was joking. He's like, no, it's 2 notes.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, stop fucking with us.
Also, fun fact, it's a great book too, if you're into that. So
you need to read the book. I am into that.
It is a good book.
Check out our commentary on 31. It's a great one. Beautiful.
Yeah, worst mayor ever. And he gets reelected.
Profits over people. Banner, your last 2, your list needs to be your list, but they have.
I'm scared. It's too good.
It's kind of frightening me with serious cinema with the last 2. Are you okay?
Yeah, I've really been looking introspectively here recently.
Got it.
Let's see.
I don't like it. It's unnatural.
I promise you, I actually know for a fact I have one in my top 10 that you guys are just gonna roast me for.
I cannot wait.
All right, I was hoping we'd get back to the Banner we know and love. All right, let's end with some final thoughts for some people. Just advice we want to give them. Banner, let's go to you first. What do you want to tell the people before we close out episode 244?
Guys, it's been a while since I've potted. I just want to say I'm proud of everybody. You guys have really been pulling over for some emergency vehicles. There's been some construction and emergency vehicle situations. You guys have navigated it fantastically. Just pat on the back. Let's keep it up, okay? Let's keep it up.
Good. We got to tell the people when they're doing well.
I like this. It informs everyone that Banner's always watching, where he's like omnipresent. He's like, I know in some areas there's construction. You're doing a good job over there.
He's like Lucius Fox at the end of The Dark Knight with that camera, that camera well that Bruce Wayne sets up.
That's all he does is watch
traffic patterns. Yeah, it's a boring life, but someone has to do it. Do they? Cycli, what are your closing thoughts for the people?
Same, because unlike Banner's suggestion, people aren't doing mine. Get out of the left lane. It is a passing lane. You need to be going faster than anyone on your right. If you're going the same speed, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah, and we shouldn't have to say that. But it sounds like, to Banner's point, maybe people are starting to figure shit out because of our podcast. They're learning how to drive.
Yeah, so maybe they're first of all, learning to pull over for service vehicles, and then they're going to start getting out of the left lane.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say, whatever you post on your neighborhood social media app, whether it's Nextdoor, The Ring, a Facebook group, let's just make it sure that it's actually relevant things. Don't say, did anyone see a squirrel? We don't need to
That seems highly relevant though, so I don't understand. your
Yeah,
point.
I
was a bad
I
example.
actually
That's
really
super
really
important.
curious.
I fucked up. If I can think of a bad example, we'll start a brand new episode and I'll put it on there.
But if you are going to ask about the scroll, make sure you say what color it is. Like, is it a gray one? Is it a brown one?
Obviously,
I mean,
goes without
we
saying.
don't know. How do we know that it's the same scroll that I saw as the one that you saw?
We wouldn't. Yeah,
There's a lot of squirrels.
really, there's over 7, I think. That's a good point. All right, for our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli, the mad scientist Brian Banner, I'm the mayor Jeff Hornacek, and we are the Bro4 Squad podcast. Thank you guys for checking us out. We'll keep it simple tonight. You want to find our stuff? Go to bro4squad.com or type in Bro Force Squad as 3 separate words on either YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you find podcasts, you can find us there. Until next time, we need to go count these squirrels again because there might be more than 7.
Pretty sure they're endangered.
They've been eating mushrooms in our, those like random mushrooms that will grow in your yard.
Yeah.
Squirrels have been